Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
come to order. A quorum is present, and the meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting's been posted in time and manner as required by law. At this time, if Tim, if you'll give us an invocation, and Matt, I'll ask you to lead us in the pledges.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just come before you this evening, Lord, and Lord, we just thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us in this district. And Lord, I just ask that you would continue to do so. Lord, I'd ask that you be with us this evening as we handle the business of the school and just allow us to do everything to our best ability, but also to your will, Lord. Lord, I just ask you to be with us this evening and the rest of this week. I ask all this in your name. Amen.
I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Excuse me. It's always good to come together to do business for the good of our kids and our staff, and for that reason, I appreciate y'all showing up as well. Do we have any public comment? If not, excuse me, we'll roll right on into the superintendent's report.
Okay, yes, sir. We'll start off with our recognitions, and I'll ask Mr. Martinez from Texas Farm Bureau to come up and present we'll start off with our student of the month, which is from middle school this month.
I need support. I have to be over here. This is Ulrich Henning. He is an 8th grade student at Brownfield Middle School. He is a joy to have. We gained him last year. They moved in with us, and we definitely gained something. He's wonderful to have at school. I did reach out to your teachers so that they could help me kind of brag on you a little bit. And so here's some of the amazing things that they said. Ulrich works hard and gives maximum effort on everything that he does. He is respectful and uses his manners when interacting with staff and his peers. He works well independently and does great in collaborative efforts. His hard work and dedication have resulted in him meeting various academic goals. Overall, Ulrich is a joy to have in class, and I look forward to witnessing him in the many successes he has in his future. He's an outstanding student who always comes to class prepared, ready to work with a positive attitude. He helps his table partners when necessary and is always polite, using his manners and showing the utmost respect. Additionally, he is kind to his peers, being a great friend. Academically, he has shown great growth in math and is constantly scoring in the master's category. He's an extremely hard worker in the classroom, as well in his activities outside of the classroom. He represented Brownfield FFA this past fall by competing in the FFA Creed. He pays attention to detail and strives to be successful in everything that he does. He's a wonderful student to have in class, always positive to his fellow classmates and teachers. He loves to turn things to competitions and gives 100% all the time. I'm blessed to have him in class. It is for all of these reasons and many, many more that Ulrich is very much so deserving of the Student of the Month for Brownfield Middle School. So if you'll go up and take a picture. Come on, Ms. Fargo. This is April. We also gained April this year. She secretaries in the front office. She had some big shoes to fill, and I think she might have upped them a size. She works hard all the time. She's always has a smile on her face. She's one of the first faces that people see. She answers the phones. It's one of the first voices they hear. She's always welcoming. She steps up and helps anybody with anything that they need. She's willing to learn new things, and she learns them very quickly. So I am very much so blessed to have her at campus. There's lots of times that I say, April, can you help me? And then she does and does not tell me how much of an idiot I am. So I appreciate her more than she knows. I'm very thankful to have her, and I hope that we are able to keep her for a very, 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 very long time. April Vargas. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Rosie Jimenez is the Employee of the Month for Colonial Heights for January. Rosie is from Haskell, Texas, where she graduated from Haskell High School. Rosie says, I'm not sure how many years I've worked for Brownfield. I think it's been 11 or 12, but who cares when you do something that you love to do? The years are just a number. The hugs and smiles of every student I meet are the best feeling in the world, especially when they still remember you after they leave your classroom. Her hobbies include spending time with her grandbabies, all 9 of them. She also enjoys attending church and cheering her grandchildren on in the different activities they're involved in. Rosie says, I have been blessed with Michael Jimenez for 27 years, and we have 5 wonderful kids, Michael Jr., Joe Manuel, and Joe Michael, Lexi, and Evan. I also have 3 wonderful daughters-in-law and 1 amazing son-in-law. I am a proud Gigi to 9 wonderful grandchildren, and I think you had your,
Yes.
she just had a new great-grandson that was delivered just a few days ago, right?
Friday.
Yeah. She says, I can truly say I'm blessed. Rosie says being a teacher's assistant can be hard at times. You may have a student tell you, I'm going to tell my mommy on you, but then 5 minutes later, she also says that she's your best friend. I love my job. It is such a worthy and rewarding job. Colonial Heights was my first sub position, and I loved working there. It has made me want to become a teacher. I enjoy coming to work every day. I love the people I work with because they are family, not coworkers. Thank you, Miss Juarez, for always being there for my family and me. You are the best. So last month we got to recognize her lead teacher, and now we're recognizing her. So that tells me there's some pretty amazing stuff going on in that classroom. So I asked your coworkers what they thought about you. And they said Miss Jimenez plays an invaluable part at Colonial Heights, not just in the classroom, but the whole campus. She supports our students every day, encourages learning, and is dedicated to her craft. She cares deeply about our students, and that makes all the difference. Miss Jimenez loves fiercely, and we are lucky to have her in our Colonial Heights family. Rosie, my coworker and friend, is truly amazing. She is always supportive, hardworking, and brings positive energy to our team. Her dedication and kindness makes every workday better, and I'm blessed to have such a wonderful person in my life, both professionally and personally. And finally, Rosie is a vital part of our pre-K team. She brings warmth, patience, and creativity to the Colonial Heights campus every single day. Whether it's comforting a child, leading an engaging craft, or supporting her lead teacher, she goes above and beyond to ensure our littlest learners feel safe and loved. Her dedication to fostering a positive learning atmosphere is truly inspiring. And that's why we're honoring you tonight as our Employee of the Month for Colonial Heights.
recognize Miss Maureen as Oak Grove Employee of the Month. Miss Maureen is originally from El Paso, Texas. She is married to Eric and the proud mother of 4 sons and 1 daughter, as well as the grandmother of 2 grandchildren. She is currently in her 5th year at Oak Grove and her 14th year with Brownfield ISD. She demonstrates a deep commitment to building meaningful relationships with her students and their families while instilling lifelong values and strong foundational knowledge. She brings consistent enthusiasm and positive energy into her classroom, creating an engaging learning environment where students are actively involved and show strong academic growth. Ms. Maureen makes learning fun and purposeful, which results in high levels of student engagement and progress. She is a collaborative team player who works exceptionally well with colleagues and serves as a leader on our campus. She is highly skilled in her craft and consistently contributes innovative ideas, maintaining a positive and solution-oriented mindset. She fosters lasting relationships with students and continues to check on her former students, demonstrating her genuine care for their long-term success. She's deeply supportive of the Brownfield community and is actively involved in school activities and events. She consistently keeps students' best interest at the forefront of her instructional decisions. Through careful observations and ongoing assessments, she identifies when students need additional support and meets them where they are, providing targeted instruction to help them continue progressing academically and socially. She is also my go-to person when I have an idea for staff engagement. I say, hey, what do you think? Let's do it. So I am very honored for you to be January's Employee of the Month.
Mrs. Alexander? Okay, I'll take your time. Good evening. Des. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Humbled and honored to acknowledge and reward and talk about Mrs. Carissa Alexander, our Employee of the Month for Brownfield High School. Currently, she is our life skills teacher at Brownfield High School. She's in her 6th year with BISD, with her 4th year overall at the high school. Ms. Alexander is married to Jacob Alexander, and they both have 2 children, Sawyer and Raylan, who are both here in attendance. Mrs. Alexander's passion is making sure that all of her students are given a fair chance to be successful on a day-to-day basis. Ms. Alexander's favorite saying is, it's okay to not know, but it's not okay to not try. To best describe Mrs. Alexander, she's extremely patient with all students, not just those in her classroom. She always has a smile on her face, although she may not have actually had an ideal grade day. Compassionate in spite of what may have happened yesterday, the day before, or even a month ago. Every day is a new day, a fresh start with her staff, and most importantly, with her students that she is academically and social-emotionally responsible for. Other words to best describe Mrs. Alexander: humble, student advocate, extremely caring and nurturing. I'm extremely humbled. I want you to know that, Mrs. Alexander, by the educational culture and climate that you have established within your classroom for your students since you've stepped into your new current role. I can honestly say, I cannot say this about everyone, but I can about you. I would trust you to teach, protect, and care for my own children. Please accept this award and acknowledgement as a small token of appreciation, as you are well deserving of such recognition. Our Employee of the Month for Brownfield High School, Mrs. Carissa Alexander.
Okay, so the academic report is going to be a few minutes, like it's going to be a little bit longer than usual. So Mr. Ontiveros is at home sick, and LJ is in Stanton. So we're going to skip the athletic report for tonight. And then I'll just roll through the rest of this. Lots of information, we got a lot of cold weather, expected cold weather coming up. We're checking to see what that's going to do to us at school. Ms. Vera, myself, are scheduled to be at Midwinter Conference. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will see. We will communicate that with everybody as well. I wanted to visit with you guys about the possibility of the board, like over the next few months, choosing a campus and cooking for staff to just be a morale boost of support from you guys. I was thinking we would start at Oak Grove. Number one, it's the biggest campus, and we could get them knocked out. Probably sometime in February, we could do that. Look at calendars here at the end, but I think it'd be good if the board would show up. And you don't have to be there all day or the whole time, but if you guys will cook some burgers and hot dogs or something like that, I think that would be good. And then we'll move on to the next campus. And then by the time school's out, you guys would have fed all the staff. And I just want them to see you guys recognize and, recognize the work that they're doing and help us to keep that morale high for them. And that's something that we'll just work, collaboratively on. So Mr. Boyd back there is retiring. That's some more information after this year. So let's give him a round of applause. And now, he assured me he's not retired yet. He's going to wait till the end of the year. He'll keep coming to work. So enrollment, we'll roll through that real quick. We're sitting at 1,594 kids. It is down, but we're staying around there. If we could get to about 1,600, that would be great. And our budget is built on 1,425. So hopefully we can keep, this number up high. And we're kind of holding steady on enrollment. So I will go ahead and go over to the academic report. I'm going to start off with Ms. Vera just to kind of give us what we're looking at, and then we will go in to let each campus administrator or AP or instructional coach, whoever's doing the presenting for your campus, if you'll come up and just talk through your slides. There's slides, the data's behind you or it's in front of you, whichever one you want to look at. So, Ms. Vera?
Each campus has come up with the data that is appropriate for their campus, so they will lead through. This is middle of year data, so from the beginning up until now, we'll do another data rollout at the end of the year to kind of see where we landed, and then we'll go from there. After we get STAR results, we'll go into that midsummer. Ms. Webb?
We'll just test it out. Okay, I have a couple data points. First off, our formative assessment is the CLI, also known as the circle test, and we have 3 different waves. So we've already done wave 1 and wave 2. On the CLI assessment, we test basic foundational skills in numeracy, literacy, and then we also test on social emotional aspects of a child's progress. So what we really look at as far as growth goes is rapid vocabulary, math, and phonological awareness. So as you can see, from wave 1 to wave 2, we had some jumps in rapid vocabulary and math, and we had a dip in phonological awareness. But this tracks based on students being on track. So on track means we're looking at the age at that time of the year. So at the beginning of the year, it might not have been developmentally appropriate for them to know what alliteration is. But now since they've had a birthday and it's later in the year, they're expected to know these things. So that's why the phonological awareness aspect has dipped a little bit, because they've had birthdays. They're older now. So they're expected, based on CLI, to have mastered these concepts, whether it's appropriate for this specific student or not. But just because we've seen a dip there doesn't mean that we're making the excuse that, well, it's just because they just had a birthday. we're also building into our unit assessments the aspects of the CLI that are not they're not incorporated into our units, so that we can cover these throughout the year, because we noticed that they weren't having a lot of exposure to this stuff in prior years, so that their numbers were declining. So that we're trying to support that throughout the year, building it into our lessons, building into our unit assessments as well. So the next slide is our unit assessments. And I track the comprehensive unit assessment. So this unit assessment tests everything that we're gonna cover throughout the year with our pre-K students. So at the beginning of the year, we were sitting at 21% approaches. Now we tested a few weeks ago. We actually tested right before we got out for break. And they're at 72% approaches. Our meets was at 11, now we're at 51. Our masters was at 5, now we're at 28%. So I looked at our numbers and I looked at our kiddos. So of the 127 tested, we already have 36 students on our campus that have mastered all of the pre-K concepts. So what that means, as me as the instructional leader of the campus, talking to my teachers, what are we doing to push our kids even further to get them ready for kindergarten? So that means guided reading. That means working on CVC words so that they can build on the foundational skills that they've already learned and push it a little bit further. So I also looked at our bubble kids, and we've got 15 students who are within about 3 questions of being at the master's level. So that means we're keeping track of those kiddos too. Like, what can we do to push them to be at that master's level? And these are all conversations that we're having during PLCs when we're doing our data digs. We look at unit assessment data, we look at CLI data, and we see how we can join those together so that we can find the best instructional strategy in the classroom to best support our students so that we can get them where they need to be. Because our goal is to have all of our kiddos ready for kindergarten when they leave our campus. So, and the last point was teachers use CLI and unit assessment data together to cross-reference insights, identifying specific student needs, differentiating instruction into flexible groups, which is our E&I groups, tailor reteaching, and set precise learning goals. This ensures big picture and unit goals align with daily formative progress for targeted intervention and effective data-driven planning. Our teachers, not only do we have a WIG for our campus, each one of my teachers have set a WIG for their classroom, and we're tracking that progress as well. So I set a pretty lofty goal. If we meet it, we'll be at about 90% masters. I feel like we can get there, but it's gonna be a lot of work, but my teachers are up for it, and they've made a lot of progress this year. So that's where we are up to this point.
How long have we been using this model?
The circle?
Well, I guess have we been doing this the whole time since you've been here, or?
No. Circle is just, but this is not the one that we just switched to this year?
No, when I was a
The
teacher at
assessment.
Bright Beginnings, we used Circle,
Okay,
so a long time.
So we've been doing this since you've been here?
yes.
8 years, roughly? Okay.
I think that's
Right.
where it's going.
Okay.
Better align.
So the kids that first started with this would be roughly 8th graders if they've been here the whole time? Okay.
There's Kathleen right there.
I've been here 10 years, so
Okay. So quite a while. Mhm. Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean they were performing at this level
Right, right.
8 years ago.
I'm just trying to kind of get a timeline of where some of those first kids would be. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the unit assessments that you're giving are not aligned to the circle test?
no, but we've tried to align our instruction to the Circle test.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is the unit assessment? What, is it something that y'all have made up, or is it something that is produced for you?
Well, the comprehensive is one that we've created and we based it off of what the end of year pre-K guidelines say that the students should be able to perform at. Um, the typical unit assessment just tests like what's been taught throughout the unit, but the comprehensive teaches everything, or we test over everything that we're going to teach throughout the year.
Okay.
But it's a good baseline at the beginning of the year to see like where our kids are at, so that we know like how we're placing them in groups and what instructional strategies we're going to use during small group instruction to help bolster them basically.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. It was right before I got placed at Colonial, so I think so. Yes. And we're all excited about that. We're all excited.
Ms. Webb, how often are you checking this data? I know it's beginning and middle of year, but I mean, these numbers look great, right? But I mean, are you checking them once a month, to make sure they don't dip, or is it just like,
Well, we have a data board that I update after every unit, and then we have scheduled PLCs where we do our data digs, and they have to turn in their intervention forms for me, so I know what they're working on during E&I. So we're looking at data all the time, weekly.
oh, weekly?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not necessarily unit assessment data. It could be just, other data points that teachers have been using in their classroom.
Yeah, since we're kind of like an outlier, we do like aggressive monitoring, so we've got specific skills that we're looking for in different pockets of kids. So the teachers are tracking like, okay, they're making progress towards rhyming, they're making progress towards rote counting, stuff like that. So they're constantly looking at their data and they're tweaking their group so that they're making sure that their kids are hitting those targets.
Okay, we have multiple points of data for kindergarten through second grade. This is our December MAP data. We are not finished with our M-class data, which I was hoping I might be able to share some of it because that goes with the early reading skills, the phonological awareness, the word reading, the nonsense word fluency. But we're still in the process of testing, and we'll not finish that until the end of the month. So I pulled kind of overall big picture. And I'm sorry if it is hard to read. I was trying to fit it on one slide for kindergarten through second grade. There is some progress. So we have to think about middle of the year being from first of the year till December, first week of December when we tested. So in math in kindergarten, we saw a little bit of a dip. However, one of the things I did notice was that our master's level had went up to 18% in kindergarten math. In first grade, we also dipped a little bit, but I feel like our meets and masters are progressing, so that was good to see. Second grade math, a little bit of a dip again, but I feel like they are making progress. They are making their decisions on what they're doing in E&I, not only with their MAP data, but also their unit assessment data. I did not include that with this because I was just trying to do like overall big picture. With our reading, same thing with kindergarten. Kindergarten had growth. So when kindergarten takes that first test in the beginning of the year, some of it is very, very challenging, and it's manipulating the test. And just being able to see their progress, I was very excited about the kindergarten progress. Their meets grew, so they went from 43 to 52% overall. First grade did take a little bit of a dip, but once again, I think also having the extra data from M-class to target if it's phonological awareness or if it's word reading or if it's segmenting, blending, whatever that is, they'll be able to pinpoint that and address it during E&I. Second grade had an increase in reading, so I was very excited to see that. Overall, for our fall to winter, the students who met their projected growth, we're sitting at 43% in reading at kindergarten and 42% in math. First grade was 52% in reading, 56% math. Second grade, 55% in reading, 55% in math, and 65% in science. So this was the overall average amongst the 6 teachers on each grade level. The 3rd through 5th grade data, I was trying to do like the most realistic to show our STAR readiness. So I pulled our fall interim, and then I compared ours to also the region, and then our common assessments. And then if they tested the year prior, I pulled what they did in STAR. So trying to see compared to where they ended, where are we at middle of the year? Sorry, I need my notes. So with our math, our 3rd grade interim was 53, 39, 26 for approaches, meets, and masters. But if we look at the region, we were pretty close with how we scored and how other schools in Region 17 scored as far as approaches. Our meets were a little bit lower, but our masters was pretty much spot on. And then compare that to our common assessments, that also is very close. So to me, that's a good sign that middle of the year, we are tracking toward progress. 4th grade, our interim data was a little bit lower than the region. However, when you look at our common assessments in 4th grade math compared to our fall interim, that's very close. And then, looking at how those 3rd grade students did last year, we know that we are working, we are setting up plans for E&I, we are supporting the teachers in the 4th grade to make sure that their instructional delivery is appropriate and how it's supposed to be, and we're having data digs within PLC. We're also doing student work analysis that focuses on those readiness standards. Our 5th grade math, our approaches on the interim, our approaches, meets, and masters on the interim was lower than the region. However, when you compare it to the common assessments, that does show we're making progress because our fall interim was in October. We are having another interim in February, so that will be another time for us to evaluate our progress and where we're at as far as like STAR readiness. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the interim is very STAR aligned. However, one of the big differences between the interim and the common assessments is it will give the students 10 questions, and then depending on how they do on those questions, it gives them a path. So it could give them, a different, like, I don't want to say lower, but it could give them like a different level of questioning or more complex questioning. And so yeah. Yes. And with our interim, we look at, the questioning is the same as STAR, where we look at those readiness standards again. So 5th grade, if we look at compared to our common assessments, which our common assessments are tied to the Bluebonnet curriculum as far as like the standards that are being taught. However, the questions we make sure that they are STAR aligned and that they are the same level and rigor as STAR. So you can see in 5th grade math, right now, they are scoring better than when the 4th graders that scored on STAR. So they are making progress. Once again, we'll do another check once we do fall interim or February interim, and that'll give us a good temperature to see where exactly we are. With reading, same thing, fall interim compared to the region. The thing that the fall interim test does not have is the essay. It has reading comprehension, it has the revising and editing, but it does not have like the full ECR. I wish it did, but it does not. Our common assessment averages, I feel like they are on track of where we scored on the interim. One thing that we have put on our common assessments is that we are putting those ECRs. So the students are having continual exposure of what the expectation is, how they basically respond to literature, because that's what the questions are on those tests. We have calibrated on how we grade them. We have put them through like an AI grader essentially to just double check of if we put the rubric in with the student work, is it grading it the same way that the teachers are grading it? Fourth grade reading, I think it's doing a great job. They are not middle of the year. They're not so far off from where the third grade students ended. So I think that's very promising. Fifth grade, their common assessments, they're doing a really great job. One of the things that I have to shout out to my third through fifth grade reading teachers is they have taken the ECR trainings that we have done and they have just ran with it. I went into a third grade reading classroom the other day and she was so excited to show me their writing because it was, full paragraphs. The conventions were good, so that's very exciting. Our fifth grade science, we don't have anything to compare it to as far as STAR, but the interim and the common assessments, there's a little bit of a discrepancy. So we're just making sure that the common assessments are aligned to the level of STAR. And so we've had those conversations of just double checking that our questions are at the same level. Any questions?
So just for clarification, on the 24-25 STAR column, is that the cohort score from last year or the fourth grade from last year?
Yes, it's the cohort. So
that's what the fourth grade made in the third grade?
In the third grade, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's for you. It's not for me. Okay. Is this better, Edgar? Okay, so we're throwing a lot of data at you guys, and all of our data tells a little bit different of a story. That's what numbers do. They tell a story. And so it really depends on what you're looking at to how you interpret it. So what I brought to you today is it's actually our NWEA data, because I use our unit assessments we use for this purpose. Our interim assessments we use for this purpose. Our NWEA data we use for this purpose. It all tells the same story. Each tells you a different picture or different scene in the story. And so this is one of the ones that I use each year around this time to help me see okay, how are we doing? So what I put on here is it's the cohort data. So you'll see the 24-25 STAR, so that's how that group of humans did on last year's STAR test. So if you look at the very top, it's sixth grade reading. They were at the approaches level of 47% for STAR. So their NWEA test will do a predictive data. And it basically says, okay, this group of humans at the beginning of the year, by the end of the year, if they do everything that they're supposed to do, they grow, they meet their end of year goals like a normal sixth grade human would, they should be at 56% approaches. Okay, so one of the things that's key to me when I look at this data is from my beginning of year to middle of year, I shouldn't see a whole lot of change. Okay, because if they're doing what they're supposed to do, those numbers should be fairly close. So things that you have to focus in on would be if you have a giant increase or a giant decrease. Okay, so a giant increase can occur for two different reasons. It's either A, they didn't take the beginning of year seriously, and so they took middle of year seriously, and yay, look, we're doing great. Or B, that you had a low group of students that because they're low, they have more room to grow and they are soaking in so much that they are actually exceeding expectations. So that comes down to conversations and meetings that we have in PLCs with teachers about groups of students because they're the ones that are in the trenches that know, they know the difference. And so, you know, we dig into this data and lean on that, but then we challenge them to also dig in and self-reflect, okay, what is this? And so as I look through my data, I was very pleased. A lot of our stuff is staying consistent. We did have a very large jump from beginning of year NWEA in 6th grade math to middle of year NWEA 6th grade math. That's the second lowest data point I have on my campus to start the school year. That makes sense. They should grow faster because they are soaking in more. They're getting more of those foundational skills that they might have not completely mastered the previous year. But now, for whatever reason, because they do mature, I promise you, they're getting it. It's clicking. So they're moving and grooving, and we're excited about that. You know, if these numbers were to stand, if you look at the middle of year prediction, which it will do it again for end of year, these would all be positive gains from their previous year's score. But again, I look at this as a perfect world scenario. Like if everything went great and every kid met their goal, here's where we should be, depending on the STAR test. But this, in the past, has been fairly close in most areas for us. So one of the places that we do look at, that we try to see, like if you look at 7th grade math, I had a dip in beginning of year NWEA to middle of year NWEA, which does concern me because that's my highest group data point wise. And so to me, that's a point where we meet together as a team and we say, okay, what are we doing? What are we not doing? What's going on? What's going wrong? Something's happening, right? So this is my red flag data. Okay, so we have plenty of time to continue working with kids and targeting specific things that they need. And this program will tell them what they're ready to learn, what they're not ready to learn, what they struggle with, strengths that they have, and what they're ready to learn next. And so really digging in on those key areas. You can do it in every grade level, every kid. But in the areas where you do have a red flag moment of saying, okay, this was a little bit more of a drop than I really wanted to see, what's going on here? Let's analyze and see what we're missing, what are we not adding in, so that we can get them back on track. Because that's the great thing about middle of year is you still have a whole half of a year to do it. So on our next slide, so that was 6th and 7th grade. This is all 8th grade because they take 4 different tests. Okay, so the math and reading is the same process with these. You see a big jump in math, which makes sense. They get a calculator in math, and it does magically wonderful things for people. So at the beginning of the year, it'll surprise you every time. We tell every 8th grader, like, you get a calculator, and they won't touch it. They won't touch it for like the first 6 weeks. I'm like, what's wrong with you? That's the best thing in the world. So they've learned to use their calculator, and they're working their tails off. My 8th graders are kicking butt across campus, honestly. They're doing a great job. Their reading came back very high at beginning of year, which made me very nervous. But they're maintaining that high expectation of being, you know, very, very close to 70%. Which I'm very excited for. So they have the ability and potential to show the most growth on my campus at end of year, and they're working for it. They truly are. When you look at science and social studies, it's like a whole different world because they haven't taken the science test since they were in the 5th grade. So there's lots of things that happen between 5th and 8th grade for all humans of the world. And so we look at, I have up there, I have the current 9th graders data, so this is like comparing apples and oranges. But we always look at it because, to me, that's our next goal to beat, and that's what we want to do. Even though it's a different group of kids, they're coming in with different needs and that kind of thing, it can't hurt us to strive for that or better. And so we always keep that in front of us. We do have the predictive data for NWEA with science. It shows a little bit of a dip, but that is not significant enough for me to feel like they're not on track. That could be a kid that moved in or moved out. With a 2% difference. The 8th grade social studies, they've never taken a social studies formal state test. So I have what we did last year, which did earn us a distinction. So listen, let's go. We have a high bar to meet. But we do a pre-test and a post-test with them. And so our pre-test data is showing kind of baseline averages for them. We did just take a social studies and science interim. We haven't completed all of it with all of our kids, which is why I didn't include it. But that is something that we're going to dig into. And those pieces of interim are vital to 8th grade science and social studies because it gives us a glimpse into what they can expect. Question-wise, science TEKS changed. And so we're really basing off of standards, and it's the first time we've really seen something like fully released from the state that says, here's what it's going to look like. And so we're going to dig. We actually have a data dig on that tomorrow, where we're digging in deep to those to say, okay, what are we doing? What are we not doing? Are we covering these? If you've already taught this, how did they do? What did we miss? What did we not teach? Have we taught it to where it's been, what it's showing, how they're going to test it? Was it an open-ended? Was it a build-a-graph? Was it a drag and drop? Was it a multiple choice? And so we do that process with all of our subjects, but we're digging deep into that with 8th grade science and social studies this week because we just tested last week. Any questions? Mm-hmm. It's okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Across the board. Part of that, it's not all of it because I calculate it without them. But part of that is my top students in 7th grade math are taken out because the 7th grade advanced students will take the 8th grade STAR test this year. So they count for our campus, but it really shows that you've taken your top kids out of a grade level. That being said, I calculated that into beginning of year and middle of year. I took those students out. So it is concerning because it shows me across the board, no matter what level we're at, we're not making the gains that we should be making for some reason. And so that's something we've been analyzing since this data came in right before Christmas break, and been breaking down with teachers so that we can have a game plan moving forward. Because to me, that's a us problem. Like, where did it go? Where did it go? We lost something somewhere. Where did it go? That being said, when I look at my interim data, the state likes to change what they test, how they test, the passing level, and all that fun stuff. But when you compare it to the regional data is what is most significant to me. If we stay with the region, I feel better about my life. And so, like, when we looked at our data, we are staying with the region for the most part. 7th grade math actually beat the region in the interim, the fall interim. And so I'm very interested to see, like Ms. Peck was saying, we have our spring interim coming up to see, okay, from the adjustments we made from our fall interim to what we've done in the little bit of time so far we've had with our middle of year data, by the time we take this in February, okay, where are we at? Are we trending back up? Are we moving back in the right direction? What's going on so that we can keep moving forward? Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Trying to stay away so we don't get feedback. Been there.
Okay, so in the fall, we brought y'all our meets data compared to how we had done previously in many years of STAR. And so since MEETS is the focus, we're just bringing you the MEETS data for all of the assessments that we've taken by course in comparison to what they're wanting their goal to be. So this first one is Algebra 1. Their WIG for this year is a MEETS goal of, I think that says 48%. So you can see how they have done on each of their unit tests. So Algebra 1, they call them Module 1, Topic 1, Module 1, Topic 2. So you can see how they have done there. And then we too get to take the interim. So the interim test is offered twice for reading and math each year, but it's only offered once for science and social studies. So you'll see interim data on our math and English tests, but not yet on science and social studies. And then on biology, their goal is 52%. So you can see how they've done on their first 6 units.
Please know this about the goals that Kelsey's talking about. I'm not trying to, I want you all to know a little bit about our goals. These aren't goals that we just made up out of nowhere. They're driven by data. They're student-led as well as teacher-led, so it's a part of their WIGs and what we're trying to continue to grow with these kids. So these WIGs and these goals are actually tied to all the cohort data based off the longitudinal data of our students overall. So there's not something we just came up with. This was all driven by all the analytics that we were able to get from our students longitudinally.
Will you go back one slide? Shout out to Mrs. Swearingen. She teaches about 98% of our biology students. So yay, biology, they're doing good. And then English 1, those are their unit assessments, but theirs, again, are called weird names. They're the foundation unit, and so they did 2 mid-foundation unit assessments and then the end foundation. And this week they take their, actually, I think I'm missing one up there. There should be a mid-unit 2 times because they're taking their second one.
So think of frequency of testing when we look at this, not just the unit, but also just the semester, which is a cumulative of all what they've been taught for first semester, and knowing that these are blind tests that they take, the rigor, the depth, and the complexity of the assessments, whether it's summative, whether it's formative, whether it's informative, it's all star line. We use multiple sets of it. Again, you have to take into consideration of us not having ECR. We're trying to replicate that as much as possible. Hopefully the second semester, as some of the other principals have alluded to, we could use a rubric and have it all generated with the AI so we get a prediction of what kids are really doing, since at this point in time, that's not built into those assessments.
And Eduphoria is supposed to have that ready in February, the AI grader. And there is English 2.
Also knowing that the assessments, these are snapshots, snippets of that unit, the end of that actual learning for that. And again, it's a lot more frequent, at least for us at high school and what I see, but to know cumulatively and going into semester, when you tie interim as well as semester tests, cumulatively the kids are on an upward trajectory based off of what the goals are, and knowing that we're doing this not to violate the spirit of anything, but we're going to do it right. If we're going to get data, we want it to be pure. We want it to be as precise and concise as possible.
And I will say on the English curriculum, they do not provide unit assessments. They just provide, it's like writing, basically is what they're called culminating tasks. And so it's not like a traditional assessment like we take for STAR. And so we have put a lot of effort, myself and the English department, into writing rigorous tests. And they are very rigorous tests. Their WIG is based off of the writing portion, like the extended constructed responses. And then also our lowest TEQ was when you compared 2 texts. And so that's what they're asking their students to do on a daily basis. They are writing. There is nothing in this curriculum that is multiple choice. It is 100% having to write things out. And so that's been our major focus across the campus is all of that writing and then comparing and providing evidence. And then U.S. history, they are just rock stars. So you'll see compared to their meets, I think their meets goal needs to be a little bit upped, but they're doing great. And then just this spring, we are targeting specific E&I groups based off of the interim results for English 1 and 2 and Algebra 1. And the interim test for Science and Social Studies will come the first week of February. And so they will focus their tests just the way the tests fall. English and Algebra test early, and then Science and Social Studies test later in the testing calendar. And so we will focus on those groups towards the end.
Really looking forward to the interim 2 assessment data because, again, they're on that scope and sequence. They're learning, they're relearning. Reinforcing the gaps in their learning opportunities to grow. It'll give us a more accurate picture of interim 2 coming in February. Looking forward to that, but also knowing you can't wait to the test as far as calendar and planning what needs to happen now, but also prior to the test. So we've been meeting with all of our leadership team as well as our different subjects respectively about planning and intentionally targeting those TEKs that they struggle with the most. And knowing that we have to plan this now prior to even testing. So we've been doing that as far as our calendar, updating, refining, as well as really being conscious of where our data is and purposeful in what we do. How do we optimize and utilize and leverage E&I where it's benefiting your lowest achieving students, your middle achieving students, your highest achieving students. Students are all achieving at a certain level, but to be able to take a scalpel like a surgeon does and surgically identify what those opportunities of growth are and use that in the NI platform has been great.
And this morning, actually, we started scheduling our boot camps. So English has already scheduled theirs, and we found great successes when they do like a little boot camp kind of thing, either the week prior to, and sometimes, in some cases, 2 to 3 weeks prior to. So we're calendaring, getting them ready. And then we wanted to show you some celebratory things. So in the fall, we take the retest for those who that have not passed their STAR tests yet. And so we wanted to start you off with what we were super proud of last December in 2024. We had 69 tests that were taken, so it wasn't 69 students because some students had multiple tests to take. And 17 of those were passed, which was 24%. And these are students who had never passed the test before. That left us with 52 tests across 39 students. And then we ended up with a 149 portfolio is the individual graduation plan for seniors who do not pass a STAR test, a 1 or 2. And we had 7 students that had 12 tests they had to do giant portfolios for in the spring semester. And taking a look at this December, we had almost the same number of tests taken, was 63. We had 25 of those tests were passed, which was 40%. We're down to 38 tests remaining across 28 students. And out of those 38 tests, 19 were DNM or did not meet high, which means there are bubble kids. And we're down to 3 seniors across 3 tests, and we still have the spring opportunity for them to take. So this is last year was the best we had ever seen since Dr. Cooper and I have been at BHS, and so this year they knocked it out of the park, and we're super pumped for those numbers. And you can't tell me that taking cell phones out of the classroom doesn't work, because look what it did.
So we think about these students who have a longitudinal, historical, not so successful ability to pass tests, and so that's who those students are. And I know it's down to 3, and it's only 1 test and not multiple tests. Our goal is not to have any 149 students. Our other goal is how do we take those high did not meet, our bubble kids, and at least half or take them all off the board. So the plan is we have this data now, and we know these students are identified. How do we leverage E&I? How do we leverage Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3? And us all knowing, first of all, when we got that data, we got back on Wednesday, I mean, you had the English teachers and the math teachers asking us, where's the data at? Because they want to know how those kids did so they could have those conversations. So we didn't get the data, but me and Kelsey are talking. They're running and busting in the door, excited of wanting to know where kids are so that we can make those plans and pivot in the middle of the year to drive what we do second semester, specifically for these cohort students. Because when you think of accountability in these students, these are your students that count double times every time that they actually pass a test. So they're our most at-risk kid as defined, but they have the greatest opportunity of growth because behind those numbers are faces that we want to get over so that they can experience that success prior to them graduating and building that momentum and knowing that graduations are non-negotiable. Going beyond that and all the programs we have, that's our overall goal. That's just how we do it at BHS, and that's what we're going to do. But to have those conversations and then be down to 3 is significant, and that's something to celebrate. Much work to still be done using this data to guide and pivot what we do on a day-to-day basis, because our overall goal is to have no students that are 149, and that would be the first time in the history of
Yeah,
Brownfield
our
High
English
School.
teachers are, these 3 students are English test. That's just the one that is always the hardest. But our English teachers are already looking at next year's seniors that are having to retest, and they're like, look how low our numbers are. What if we had seniors that, we didn't have any seniors that had to take the test? So they're
So
they're excited.
to infer on that, I mean, we're closing the gap. Again, the testing window, as a freshman, you take 3 tests, biology, math, and English. As sophomores, you take social studies, you also take another English. To know that we're closing the gap before they go over to being a junior, because longitudinally, some of those kids right there have tested several times and have not experienced success. How do you build capacity momentum? You do it one student at a time, one teacher at a time, one TEK at a time, building those kids back up so so that they can know that it is definitely possible. They may not have had it longitudinally, but when we have them, we can add value to them. And to me, that data is significant to that, but there's still much work to do.
We had several kids who were had taken this test over and over, and then this time they blow it out and get meets rather than just approaches.
Yes.
So, super, super pumped for
Any-
those kids.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry about that.
And then we have stolen the middle school's party every 6 weeks. So what you're looking at is students had to set a goal for each of their core areas. So this is not just EOCs. This is all math, science, social studies, and English. They had to set themselves a goal, and some of them were pretty lofty. But we're looking at, so the first bunch is the first 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, third 6 weeks, and the blue tells you how many students met 1 of their 4 core area goals, orange is 2, gray is 3, and then the gold is they met all 4 goals. So compared to our enrollment of 447 at the end of the first 6 weeks, we had 87% of kids that met 1 goal, at least 1 goal. And you might be looking at the numbers and going, well, they're getting lower and lower. That's because every time they meet a goal, they have to up it. So there should be less because they're making it harder on themselves. So we're proud to be able to celebrate them.
Thank you, guys. Any questions for high school? Thank you, guys.
If we have
Thanks.
school on Friday, we're passing out a whole bunch of popcorn and pickles. So
That
y'all
means
come
we
on
got to
by
make
at
it
2
the day
o'clock.
before, because that takes about 3 hours to make all that stuff.
Got Mr. Edwards coming up. But while he comes up here, if we could graduate kids without having to go to the portfolio method, and I just want to reiterate that has never been done here since that law was passed. So that would be, even at 3, that's an accomplishment. But if we're able to get all of them that way, that's pretty dang good.
I was a little concerned about the black because, when you hit that certain age, you can't see reds or blues, but no, it looks good. I'm bringing you real data. Our window's a little bit different than the campuses. We get most of our kids, we have about 60 days, and that's not counting days off, days for this. And so we do MAPS, NWA. It's just the time that we do the middle of the year, we're already done with our first testing. This year, we look at what we'll do as soon as that window opens on our interim. We'll go ahead and get that test out of the way so we can start looking at the game plan and the kind of the way that we do it. And I know that each one of our students have an individual education plan. Mr. Franco, in this case, does a great job. We try to group kids kind of in their weaknesses to try to make sure that we can get the most bang for our buck at that time. And so as you look at our English 1, we came in at the start of the year, we had 43% that did not meet, 29 that was approaches, and 29 that met. Then we got into the test, and then, of course, we had 58% in English 1 that did not meet, but we had 8 that approached and then 33 that met. And that was really for us to meet, guys, because, you know, most of our kids come from the high school where they are retesters, so we're just trying to, because my wig, in order to help the district, is to get those retesters where they're getting us those points. And so as soon, if we can get them to the approaches level or the meets or whatever, not only does it help our campus, it helps the high school campus, and it also helps, that's our goal, is to help the district overall. We got into English 2. 75% of our kiddos did not meet on the interim, and then, and of course, 25. And now, guys, when you look at some of these numbers, you're talking about small groups. It's not like I have 100 kids over there. But we got into our test data. 64% did not meet. We had 14 that approached, and we had 21 English 2 meets in this go-around, which was, I mean, super great. And then we got into algebra. Algebra at BC is a little bit different. Again, Mr. Franco, he's kind of our rock star. He's English, and then he also works with our algebra students. And you can kind of look at our data as we kind of come across the board. We're 29% approaches on interim and 29 in meets. We came over and we were 50% at approaches and 13% at meets. So, and we also kind of brought that did not meets kind of down. History's kind of a one that once we give it, they do just have one test a year for the last 2 tests. So we kind of use the window the best that we can. But we really had a pretty good, we had a good deal here too. We had 50% that got approaches. We had 17% met. And then we had masters. We had 8%. Now, I know when Mr. Smith and Ms. Vera and I, we sat down and we looked at this, and they were really wanting to know how interim, for us, interim really gave us a ballpark, guys, of kind of where it was, a lot of our kids were able, that score kind of gave us it was pretty close, a pretty good predictor. Like for history, for example, we should have had 2 masters, and only, you know, because of the day, they're humans, who knows what happened. We just had 1 that got masters, but for the most part, the numbers are pretty close for us. And then biology, we came in, and 60% was approaches, 40% was meets. And out of our approaches, and I know we always tell kids, oh, you're 1 question off, you were 2 or whatever. We were actually both our students was just 1 question off of being meets. So that was a pretty good day. Ms. Hill comes over from the high school. She tried to work herself out of a job here, but anyway, we found a couple more people, so don't be, yeah. But anyway, so we're a little bit different when we are able to look at our NWA and we kind of pull that. It's just that we're just a different beast. But anyway, that's kind of was our kind of where we were in December, and I can't wait till we kind of get cranking for the spring. So, like I said, our big deal is to focus in. I think we had 28. If you just looked at retesters, we had 28 or 29%. And of course, my goal for our campus is I want 90% of our retesters to get up there. So that's how BEC wants to help the district and with our overall accountability. Any questions?
I want to say this, Mr. Edwards' team, they don't have 50 teachers back there. So the teachers that they do have do a really good job of intervening. And I mean, they take a kid that Mr. Franco's teaching subjects that he's not even really certified in, but he's able to make the connections, meet the kid where he's at, and get the kid to pass the test. And that's pretty dang good. So they do a great job over there at BEC with an unusual, non-traditional setup, but they're able to, they do what they got to do, and they were the highest rated campus last year. So any questions for any admin over anything that you've heard?
I want to say thank you to the hard work that you guys are putting in. I know it's not easy, and data's just, excuse me, data's just numbers, but I know that there's a lot of hours that not only you, but your staff puts in, and I want to say thank you for you guys being the leaders that y'all are, because everybody underneath you needs that person going back to Christmas that's not in the sleigh, but that's on the front by the reindeer, not sitting in the sleigh, pulling them along. And I want to say thank you for y'all's hard work. It looks like y'all know that we're not perfect and we've got a long way to go. These are just numbers, but I appreciate y'all's hard work.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys, and appreciate that. And if y'all are good, no questions, I'll just move on. Okay, I'll go to the financials. Like I said, Mr. Keeler is sick. Caleb Smith is sick, so you get Chris Smith as doing this. So if you look at really the things Mr. Keeler wanted me to point out is object code 5700. As people started paying their taxes in December, you saw a larger number of collections that month. That's really the highlight of the month. We're officially 6 months through our financials, and everything is being expended as expected and as is customary. And so we're pretty much on track there. Any questions on that before I go to the investments? Okay, so if you go to your investment accounts, those rates are have gone down. They're 3.95 in Logic, 4.03 in First Public, but as our balance is 14.9 in all of our accounts altogether. That child nutrition one is going to be one that we'll need to kind of start to monitor here, because it's getting it's over $1 million, but we're about to bid out our food service contracts, and so that's going to be a topic, because I doubt very seriously we're going to get contracts with that big a profit to them, because we got very favorable rates when Taher came in, and that was 5 years ago, and food is way more expensive than it was 5 years ago. So our profit side that we see is going to be significantly less. So we're going to, that's something to keep track of, and we'll keep talking about that as we go into it. Any questions on the financials? Okay.
We'll move on to the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. President,
Cat?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Cat Gonzalez and seconded by Matt Valdonado to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is passed. Review and consider TEA agreed corrective action plan regarding PEEM student discipline coding. Chris?
Yes, sir. We talked about this a little bit last month. We got this very late. This data corrective action plan is from 2023, because TEA moves real fast on stuff. And so basically what had happened is we had some students miscoded for their disciplinary placements. It could have been what is a mandatory placement, what's a discretionary placement. And we had used some of the wrong codes, and we didn't catch it. So it actually ended up going all the way to, through the, we didn't catch it through the snapshot process, so it went to the state. So they sent us a corrective action plan that included training, additional training for all of our people, which we have done. We've been doing that ever since it happened back in 23, but we just got this at the end of 2025. So I wish I could tell you it's something new that we've been doing, but it's not. We've been doing it since we found out that we made a mistake. So there's a lot of PEMS codes that are available to admin when there's, vapes are a big thing. And I can almost guarantee you, and I don't even have it in front of me, most of our errors came from vapes, because there's so many different codes. But we're uniform now. We've got that fixed. It shouldn't happen again. We're doing monthly, if not weekly, depending on how busy they are on their campus. They're validating their disciplinary codes. So we've done all the steps. We do have to send our sign-in sheets, our training decks, all that stuff to TEA, which we have them. We'll do it. Like I said, this is from 23, and we've already corrected the things that we needed to correct. We just got it formalized now.
Any questions?
So this is an area that we're monitoring. We're already making the recommended corrections and everything like that. It seems like we're already on the ball to moving forward with everything.
Everything that they required from us in that corrective action plan has already been implemented. This is part of it. They have to have a public meeting and get the board to sign off on your awareness of the corrective action plan. But again, most of it comes down to training, training materials, those kinds of things. And we have those things. We've done those things. And so we've met all the compliance components to this. So now, like I said, we got this December of 25.
Mr. President,
Tim.
I move that we approve the TEA agreed corrective action plan regarding the PEMS student discipline coding as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Tim Swearingen, seconded by Julian Hernandez, to approve the TEA agreed corrective action plan regarding PEMS student discipline coding as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is passed. Consider audit engagement 2025-2026. Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. This is our yearly engagement letter that we go into with our auditors. Our recommendation is to stick with the same auditors, Bollinger, Seegers, Gilbert, and Moss. They're very good. They work very well with us. Their price does go up. We're at $45,000 now. When I started this job, it was 20. So, but I could bid it out to anybody, and it's going to be $45,000 to $55,000. So that is the going rate now.
Mr. President,
Tim.
I move that we go into the agreement with Bollinger, Seegers, Gilbert, and Moss for the 2025-2026 audit.
Second.
It's been moved by Tim Swearingen and seconded by Matt Valdonato. That Brownfield ISD enter into an audit agreement with Bollinger, Seegers, Gilbert, and Moss, LLP for the 2025-2026 audit. Is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is passed. Consider possible action to order general election of 2 at-large trustee positions to be held on May the 2nd, 2026. Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. This is just the order of general election, which is required to formally call for an election this year. This will be the first year under the new format of the law that we got reversed.
Mr. President,
Matt,
I make the motion to approve the general election order for the election of 2 at-large trustee positions to be held on May 2nd, 2026.
it's been moved by Matt Valdonato and seconded by Julian Hernandez to approve the general election order for the election of 2 at-large trustee positions to be held on May the 2nd, 2026. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed.
Now that we've approved that we're going to have an election, now we need to approve the notice of general election. So that's just the actual notice that'll be put in papers and circulated to the public.
Mr. President,
Tim?
I move that we approve the notice and order of general election for early voting and for Election Day.
Second.
It has been moved by Tim Swearingen and seconded by Kat Gonzalez to approve the notice and order of general election for early voting and for Election Day. Is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed.
Okay, so now that we've done that, now we can approve the resolution that goes into calling a joint election with other entities in the city and the county. And this is the resolution that does that. So we can split expenses.
Mr. President,
Just a second, Matt. So
This one is the agreement to do a joint election in Terry County.
is this number 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Matt,
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution to conduct the joint elections on May 2nd with all cities and schools with territory inside of Terry County that may require a May 2nd, 2026 election.
Second.
it's been moved by Matt Valdonato and seconded by Tim Swearingen to approve the resolution to conduct a joint election on May the 2nd, 2026 with all cities and schools with territory inside Terry County that may require a May 2nd, 2026 election. Is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is carried.
Man, that bounce gets me. Did I skip one?
No.
Okay.
So we should be on number 10, correct? Agenda item 10?
12, right?
12.
12. It bounced on me when I told you a while ago.
Well, and that's me.
Yep, so,
The jumping is
yes.
kicking me.
So this one is to consider the possible approval of the joint election agreement with Terry County. Every year, we have to sign one of these with Terry County so that they will run our elections. Either that or we will have to start, we're running them ourselves again, and nobody has time for that.
So we are on 12.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Mr. President,
Kat.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
It has been moved by Kat Gonzalez and seconded by Matt Valdonato to consider the possible approval of a resolution to conduct joint election on May the 2nd with all the cities. With all the cities and territories, I'm still on the wrong one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I'm on the wrong one, or
Yes,
yes, sir,
sir.
I'm on the right one?
No,
Yeah.
number 12. You're still on.
Should be on 12.
This one?
Yeah, it's 13.
That's what I thought. I thought I was on 12.
You are now.
Who knows?
Just for you guys, they all look exactly the same.
I'm really not as unintelligent as it appears, but, okay. Consider and possible approval of the joint election agreement with Terry County. And I hope you got who made the motion and who, thank you. All those, is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Okay, we jumped.
Yes, sir. And this one is to approve Chrissy Franco as the elections administrator to serve as joint elections officer for Terry County. She took Crystal Valentine's place as Crystal Valentine went to work for the state.
Mr. President,
Tim?
I move that we approve the appointment of Chrissy Franco as elections administrator to serve as joint early voting clerk for Terry County.
Second.
It's been moved by Tim Swearingen and seconded by Cat Gonzalez to consider possible approval to appoint Chrissy Franco, elections administrator, to serve as joint elections officer for Terry County. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed.
Last one, sir. Consider possible approval to appoint Chrissy Franco, elections administrator, to serve as joint early voting clerk for Terry County. That's the difference.
Mr. President,
Matt,
I make the motion to approve Chrissy Franco, elections administrator, to serve as the joint early voting clerk for Terry County.
it's been moved by Matt Valdonato and seconded by Julian Hernandez to approve the appointment of Chrissy Franco, elections administrator, to serve as the joint early voting clerk for Terry County. Is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Might as well get a law degree.
Can I do the budget amendment first?
Sure.
So one of these lists that you see here, it's pulling up. One of them is just an FYI, so you could see who has donated to some of our activity funds. The budget amendment is really for the funds here, which is $1,000 to. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. That's these. All right. We have received donations for things like the Christmas meals, the turkey run, and esports. And we wanted to share these people who have donated to our district in case you encounter them. Prosperity Bank, Oak Grove PTO, Charities Aid and Foundation, which is Allstate, actually, Allstate Insurance. Now, if you go to the next part, the budget amendment is for $1,000 increase to Function 36 because we received a after-the-fact donation for the basketball tournament. And so in order for us to put that money in there to be able to help pay for that, we have to adjust the budget. But either way, we're thankful for the donations that we get. And this one came from UniFirst in the amount of $1,000.
Do you know how we came out in that altogether?
I have not seen the final numbers yet, but I know we ended up making a donation to Pack Pals for $10,000. So that wouldn't have been possible. Like, we usually do that after we pay all the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that, I mean, it worked out for us. The only reason we're able to do that, honestly, is because of the donations we get to help offset officials. And the entry fees and the gate, that's how we pay, because officials are so expensive. I think our charges for officials was north of $16,000 for our tournament. And that is why a lot of districts don't run tournaments anymore. But we do, because number one, I promised the community when we floated our bond that we would bring events to the community. We have delivered on that promise, not only on that, but We hosted a very large powerlifting meet, brought people to the community. We have hosted a lot of events here in our district that bring a lot of people to this community. So we'll continue to do that. Our tournament is turning into one of the largest outside of the Caprock.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And, kudos to Zane McPherson, Art Ontiveros, LJ, all the admin who took their time, Jennifer and the Lions Club, and, there's a lot of people that put work in. Edgar and his team, they streamed, like 60 hours of basketball, and, it's a good event. Miss Vera and I, we did whatever we needed to do, sweep, sell, work the concession, didn't matter. But it was a team effort, and we were able to bring kids to games that celebrated, that met their goals. That was pretty awesome. And they were excited about it, and the kids were really pumped about that opportunity. So it was overall, that was a really good, successful event. So we're very fortunate to have the facility to be able to do that, but also the support.
Mr. President,
Tim,
I move that we approve the budget amendment for activity account and general operating as presented.
it's been moved by Tim Swearingen and seconded by Kerry Barnett to approve the budget amendment for the activity account and general operating as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion itself? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is passed. All right, we're going to roll back to
The goals.
Consider superintendent goals. Chris?
Yes, sir. And I will do whatever you guys want here. I was able to visit with each one of you personally. Mr. Gonzalez and I didn't have a chance to connect last week. So if we need to wait to do this, I'm comfortable with it because I've already talked to you guys. But basically my overall request and recommendation to the board is to move the evaluation back to a January evaluation beginning January 2027. However, I will still need to be evaluated in June of 26 because my contract is a July 1 contract. So the recommended goals that I'm presenting to you guys for June is different from what I'm presenting to you guys for January. And my recommendation is to use NWEA assessment and unit assessment where NWEA assessments are not available for the academic goals in June because I will not have STAR data in June. We will have STAR data to go to summer school, but that's not going to give us any other information to use. The other thing that to evaluate is in June, working on the recruitment and retention goals, which the number of voluntary resignations amongst teaching staff will remain less than 25% per year. And BISD will recruit future Grow Your Own candidates as well as Tech Teach candidates each year to replace vacancies. And all I'll be able to show you on there is that we are developing a pool on that and how many people are in there. We get some grant money for some, but we also pay for others. And so that will vary, but one of the best things we've been able to do over the last 8 years is every year is we've been able to have an immediate pool to fill vacancies for the first 5 or 6 employees, mostly at Oak Grove, but it has gone up now to middle school and high school. So I would say most districts in this region don't do that, which is why our retention rate is higher than most. It's the work that we've put in to put in these supports for teachers, and so I think that is a good measure. Our retention, especially in this. Now, the things that I will take out is those that maybe their contract wasn't renewed for one reason or another. In other words, they're not voluntarily leaving, and the others are retirements. When people want to retire, they just those are numbers. But the gold number that we're looking at is voluntary people who stay in education and go to a different district. And so those are the 2 measures, because in January, if you turn your page to the back, the academic measures will change from NWEA to STAR with a hyper focus on Domain 2 raw scale scores and student growth. And then it will also include all of the House Bill 3 literacy goals that are required by law. We can't do those in June because I won't have the data in June. So that's why the January board superintendent evaluation will be good. You still see the recruitment and retention there to be measured, but we have an academic, a recruitment, retention, and the mandated House Bill 3 goals on there. And I really enjoy us. I met with Mr. Cooper today, and I really enjoyed the opportunity to talk to y'all. And Mr. Gonzalez, I know we'll get to talk to, but I really got to talk to you about some of the things that interest you, that maybe some data presentation that is not necessarily tied to the evaluation, but it's pertinent data as a school board member. And so those are things that we're committed to getting you guys so that you're informed and always stay transparent, and you guys can feel confident in the things that we're doing in our district. These are my recommendations for the evaluation goals. So just for clarity and reiteration, on page 1, you have June, and on the back, you have January. So any action taken will not, so if there's a contract extension or a raise, that won't happen until July 1, even in June. And then so if you fast forward to January of 27 and the board determines an extension, a raise, whatever, it won't take effect till July, which is the way it used to be. So those are my recommendations, guys. And after talking to you guys, I appreciated the support, and we'll continue to work on things that we discussed and work on getting you some of that data. And then after visiting with Mr. Gonzalez, if y'all are, I'm very, I was talking to Mr. Cooper earlier. One of the things that this is the first time that we've ever done goals based on NWEA data, and there's so many variables in there that we have to take into consideration. So I would ask for a little bit of grace and leniency as we get further into these with the team and with our NWEA representative. I may find something better in the next month or two that I can bring you that is a better reflection of growth. The good thing is we know what we're working towards, and even if the goals change, it's not going to change our actions because we're focusing on growth with our students. So even if we end up modifying what you adopt today as a goal, we could change it in March without issue, because it'll be, if we change it, it's going to be because we were able to find a better data source that is more indicative. Because like I referenced earlier, this is the first time that we've used this data. So we're going to learn through this process. And if we find something better, I am going to bring it back to you guys for your consideration. So.
Any questions? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Tim,
I move that we approve the superintendent goals for the 25-26 school year as presented.
it has been moved by Tim Swearingen and seconded by Matt Valdonato to approve the superintendent goals for the 2025-2026 school year.
Can I amend that to include 27, since that's what's on the back?
We could do that. I could do those in June if you want.
Okay.
To approve them for.
Yeah, either
Okay.
way, if you
Yeah,
want.
okay, let's wait then.
Whatever y'all want.
You can. Is there any discussion, any other discussion on the motion itself? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the 2025-2026 superintendent goals? Signify by saying yes.
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 I'm a little bit shocked over here. Any opposed? The motion is passed.
So I guess the last thing I want to do is, I know that that this is not why you do it, but it is Board Appreciation Month. And I wanted to personally thank you guys for your service because it is definitely thankless, challenging, especially with some of the things, I know that you guys are the ones that hear it first when, our accountability is not fantastic or there's something that happens and, I cancel school and it's sunny and bright outside. I get that part that you guys do in your service to the community, and it's very thankless. And so I know I wanted to thank you for that. You make this place a district that I want to be at. I've stayed here this long. A lot has to do with the board. If I didn't have that support, I wouldn't have stayed this long. I know Ms. Vera, I won't speak for her, but she and I have talked about that and how important that component is to what we're doing. And I would appreciate it if the admin would, before you leave, make sure you thank the board for what they do and the supports they give our staff. I know that's not what they want, but it's true. And when it's tough stuff's hard, we got to stick together. I tell the admin all the time, we can have a meeting, we can argue, we can cuss at each other, we can do all that, but when it starts getting tough, we have to be on the same team. And ultimately, you guys are in that same boat with us because usually in the community, you're the ones taking the first bullets, really. So, and we want a district that you're proud of, proud to be on this board where you could share, that like, yeah, I'm a school board member in Brownfield ISD and be proud. And that's something that we aspire to give to you guys too. So we'll continue to work in that spirit.
Thank you. You want to add anything on personnel?
We did have we had a teacher leave at semester, and at the theater arts teacher at high school, and we've already got our people have been working to make it work, and at middle school as well. So that's really the biggest personnel deal. I think that's on there just in case we were going to go talk about me.
Well, you've got Miss Palmer on there.
Oh yeah, and Miss Palmer is an example of a tech teach candidate who's progressed through the system. She graduated in December and is now a certified teacher teaching at middle school, and that was one of our grow your own components in there. And like I referenced earlier, Mr. Boyd is retiring. Mr. Boyd and I worked together at Cavazos Middle School in 2003 or 2004.
One of y'all's old. We'll leave the jury out on who.
I think it's the one retiring. I don't know.
I didn't say that. I just said somebody. All right. I didn't even see this earlier. Superintendent, we're not doing anything on evaluation.
No, we just left that on there just in case y'all wanted to go.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I apologize. I missed that earlier when I looked at, went through the agenda. So, you got anything else?
Just make sure you stay and eat. I think they got quite a spread for you guys today.
It smelled good when I went to the restroom. I mean, the food.
Not in the restroom.
That. Here we are. Live stream and on the mic.
On the mic.
Yeah, y'all just hold your spot here a second. We do. Did you have something, Ms. Barnett?
I did. I think we need to recognize Dr. Cooper. He was recognized as part of the team at the Texas Tech basketball game.
Oh, awesome. Recognized as being old. Was that back before Reckham? Oh, did you? Okay. Well, that's awesome. Appreciate that. We're glad to have a celebrity amongst us.
Yeah, that was a pretty good squad. I remember watching them play. If you really want to recognize Dr. Cooper, you'll Google him, and you'll see a picture of him blocking Allen Iverson. Yeah. It's before AI.
It's before AI.
Ironically, that's what they call Allen Iverson, AI. But nope, that's a pretty cool picture. So
awesome.
That thing would be on front top of my house if I did it. Yeah. So.
One other thing for, well, I guess this end of the board, our overachievers down there have got it. We're working, and I'm in that group of the underachievers. We're working on security, school safety that we still need, but it's got to be presented by somebody, or there's some things that go into that. So they'll get back 23, 25. They'll get back with us in 27 or no 28. So
April 12th.
So. So I have visited with Jennifer on that as well. So, and anybody else have anything? All right, if not, I declare this meeting adjourned.